Lying it all alone, thinking that I'm way too, thinking I were too much. You're gone, I'm lying it all alone, thinking that I'm way too, thinking I were too much. You're gone.
The poorest way to face life is to face it with a sneer. There are many men who feel a kind of twisted pride in cynicism. There are many who confine themselves to criticism of the way others do what they themselves dare not even attempt. There is no more unhealthy being, no man less worthy of respect than he who either really holds or feigns to hold an attitude of sneering disbelief toward all that is great and lofty, whether in achievement or in that noble effort which, even if it fails, comes to second achievement. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again. Because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. But who does actually strive to do the deeds? Who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions? Who spends himself in a worthy cause? Who, at the best, knows in the end the triumph of high achievement? And who, at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat.
Hey guys, what's up? A very inspiring intro today. Let me know if you guys can hear me well. I kind of messed with the gain a little bit on the mic, but that was Teddy Roosevelt's famous "Man in the Arena" speech, right? And it's my favorite speech for a reason, and we're going to talk about it and how it applies to your dating life and your just living life in general, as opposed to complaining and not actually living the life you want. So we'll get into that. So you guys know where to find me. I'll put my link tree in the chat. Follow me on all platforms. Follow me on Twitch. Follow me on Instagram, all that. If you guys follow me on Instagram, I'll follow you back. I don't check my Instagram too often. So just give me some time if you guys shoot me messages and stuff like that. So all right, let's get right into it. First off, we got first super chat. You get one of these, my friend. Where is it? Yeah, you get one of these.
Thank you so much, best friend.
RP Matthews 2024 says, for the 4.99 super chat says epic opening tax, bro. Nuke. Epic opening tax, bro. Nuke. Yeah, man. Teddy Roosevelt was a great president, if not the greatest. He did a lot for this country. He's pretty badass. He got shot while having a speech and just kept talking. So he's a pretty badass guy. And honestly, his speech really spoke to me because someone posted it on Twitter a couple years ago, and then it really spoke to me because I've realized throughout life there really is kind of like a divide between the people that are doing it and the people that are talking about it and criticizing those who are, especially nowadays when we're living in a very online pontificating kind of world where everyone has a take and everyone has access to people much more than did before. So we get this feedback loop where people think where people think they care what we have to say, and it all boils down to like, really, are you doing it? Are you taking action? Are you out there? Are you getting beat up? Are you getting rejected? Are you getting hurt over and over again? And you can just see through people's tweets, YouTube videos, long form content, short form content, essays, blogs, all this stuff, who's actually out there and who's not. Like, people that are kind of have like sixth sense about this. So you'll see it over time, as you guys get more experience with women and just living life in general, that you'll see who's a faker, who's just saying things to say them, and who's following like a trend or a formula, and who's like speaking from the heart, right? And I'll let you guys decide where I come from. I always let you guys decide. If you guys think I'm a fraud or I'm just making stuff up, then go ahead and, I'm not offended. Maybe I'm just not convincing enough. But if I speak to you guys in a way where you guys understand and you feel like we're on the same plane of understanding and I have something to offer you, then I'd be more than happy to. So thanks again, RP Matthew, for the super chat. That all proceeds will go to getting Tadashi what are we getting Tadashi now? A new collar. Yeah, he needs a new collar. His other one's too small. So we got Chad Elkins, CPA. What's up, Chad? How you doing? Glad to see you here, man. We got Daniel Hernandez. Hajime no Ippo was great. Yeah, I gotta watch it still. It's one of those animes that's queued up, but I'll get to it when I get to it. We got Guillermo. What's up, man? How you doing? My man Godspeed. What's up? And we got this big chat. Luscious Pa. Hey, hello. Sorry for billing you. I want to offer promotion. Oh, it's one of those whatever. I guess I forgot to turn on that bot on Twitch that'll block all that stuff. But yeah, he sent this quote. It's a whole speech, my friend. It's more than just a quote. Let me get this lighting right. Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, it's a whole speech, and it's very powerful because, especially nowadays, like my biggest thing when I came into this space to talk about this stuff is that I noticed over the years while I was dating that a lot of people weren't like the things they said about the opposite sex. Just it didn't like. I'm like, what? Like that isn't really how it is, or how it isn't, or it's just very confusing to me. Like how easy it is to go online and just kind of like be someone that you're not, or fake experience and all that stuff. Which I lived in a world where you can't fake that stuff, or else people get hurt. I was a firefighter for a little bit. I also was a nuclear operator, and all that. And the way you get trained is that you can't BS it. You have to know everything, and you have to go through your training pipeline, kind of being a completely well-trained person and having the ability to any situation thrown at you to handle it, right? Because it's nuclear power. There's no room for error. There's no room for not knowing stuff. Now, if you don't know something, you're always welcome to open the book, right? But sometimes, it's war. When you're at war or something's wrong with the reactor, you have seconds, at best 2 minutes, and at worst 10 seconds, right? I'll tell you how much time, what the margin of error is for a nuclear power, for the worst casualty that you can get in a nuclear plant. In a nuclear plant, the worst casualty you can get is called a cold water casualty, right? What happens is that I'm gonna get a little scientific, guys. I'll be quick, I promise. The way reactors work is that the uranium starts decaying and gives off neutrons. Neutrons hit the hydrogen molecules, and molecules. This causes the water to heat up. We take that water, we heat secondary water because we don't want the primary possibly radioactive water to touch the secondary water, and we make steam, and that steam gets pushed through a turbine, and that causes things to spin, and that spinning either generates electricity or generates motion through a ship turbine, right, or a main engine, right. So if you put cold water into a reactor, the hydrogen molecules there's less distance between them, more neutrons hitting them. You get a spike in power, and that spike in power is so high and so fast you can't control the reactor. Reactor overheats, meltdown. Right? You have 10 seconds to flood the reactor. 10 seconds. That's it, or else you're done. So when you live in a world where you just can't leave anything up to chance, right? And you have to be able to have contingencies for everything. You start to think in a different way, right? You start to think like everything has a procedure, everything has a route to take, and what we call in the red pill, everything has a mental model, right? And here's the interesting part: like every content creator comes at this stuff different, right? A lot of them come at it from like an ego, like be like me, it worked for me, which is wrong because you guys don't want the same things I want. Hopefully you guys are your own person and you guys sat down with yourselves and are like, hey, what do I want? And that I can't answer that for you. No one can but yourself, right? Not your parents, not your current girlfriend, not your employer. Only you can know what you want. So at the end of the day, that's step one. But like I was saying, every single issue or problem in the plant, there's a procedure or somewhere where you can find what to do. And there's different varying levels of severity and action. And that's the same thing with relationships and women and all this stuff. There's a procedure, there's a mental model, there's something you can do or not do in order to handle a situation. And that's the way I always saw the red pill, because to me, it wasn't about an identity, right? I wasn't red pill nuke, right? I was nuke, Dominican heritage, reactor operator for the United States Navy, amateur musician, all those things. That's who I am, brother, son, I own a dog. Those are the things that kind of like make me who I am. Red pill is not an identity, right? So whenever you see someone who's made it their identity, that they see it more. They don't see it as a way to fix their life. They see it as a way to hide behind the truths and the difficulty of accepting the truth. So this usually happens with guys that are in the rage phase. They get burned by a girl, they find the red pill, and they're mad, and they're absolutely entitled to their anger. You just got to move on, right? You get a year tops, let it burn inside you, the pain and the anguish of being lied to, of seeing the world in a negative light that you don't, you really don't matter much as a man. But then you have to move on. You have to start like, okay, this is the truth. I was lied to. What's the next step? And if you look at the red pill as more of a set of manuals, every industry, every job, technical job, whether it be mechanic or nuclear operator or all that, has a set of manuals by which they guide themselves in order to do maintenance, start up equipment, shut down equipment, all that stuff, right? For you guys that are more technical minded. So same thing with the red pill, right? Is it always correct? Yeah, no. As the years go on, these manuals get more and more perfected, right? Ryan Stone talks about this in his first book. So what happens is that if you see it like that, you start being able to take the lessons and the videos and the books in a better way, right? You start to actually use them. You also start to realize like not everything applies all the time, right? There is a forum called Married Red Pill, and if you're married, that probably won't do you much, right? So if you're not married, then why are you going there? Obviously, maybe you want to learn something or you're just curious, but if you're spinning plates or just single, like that's not that doesn't apply to you. So you don't have to talk about it. You don't have to go there. You don't have to use it. You don't have to watch any content that has to do with that until one day maybe you get married. You're like, how can I use this to improve my marriage, right? Same thing with, you know, there are mental models for every situation, and that's like I always said. The people don't like the red pill because it solves too many problems and it's too simple, right? I'll do an interview with someone that's red pill adjacent or hates the red pill or hates the manosphere or whatever. And it always starts. Here's the first problem, guys. The first problem is always language, right? They don't understand what it is. They're like, those red pill guys. And I'm like, that's not, it's not an identity. We're not the Legion of Doom under a swamp somewhere trying to figure out how to take down Batman and Superman. You know, we're just regular guys. Do I look special to you guys? Like, come on. Like, there's nothing that special about me. But that's what they think. So I start there, like, hey, it's a praxology. What's that? Means to an end. We want to kind of take a look at this stuff and how can we use this knowledge to help improve our lives. And by improving your life, you improve the lives of everyone around you, right? You need to put on your oxygen mask first before you help the person next to you. So as time goes on, you start going from this rage phase of being angry and not understanding where you're at in life and not knowing what you want, to slowly, like, hey, I went on a date with a girl, and I applied this. I applied assume that she's promiscuous, but don't obsess. Meaning, understand that women have a lot of access to sex, and women will have sex. Women, there's dating apps, there's Instagram. Can you do anything about it? No. However, if you assume every girl is promiscuous, right, from the get-go, it puts you in a position of where you win anyway, right? Either you're proved right, through her behavior, subsequent behavior, or as time goes on, she's slowly proving it to you that she's not, right? Because the burden of proving that she's not promiscuous or a slut or a bad person is on her, right? You can't know that. Like, we can have this body count discussion for years. It's been years since we've been having it. Years, right? Is a high body count bad? Like, listen, man, we figured it out a long time ago. Here's the manual. Here's the procedure. Step 1, assume she's promiscuous. Step 2, don't obsess about it. It's not your problem to prove that she's not promiscuous. That's her problem. If she cares. If she doesn't care and if you don't care, then that's great. Problem solved, close the book, on to the next problem. That's it. That's all. There's nothing else to talk about for that, right? I saved you guys hours of YouTube content and books and debates and all this stuff by just 2 phrases. I don't know who came up with that, right? But no one in the red pill cares who came up with what, right? Because at the end of the day, the goal is to provide what, guys? A positive sexual identity for men and more power in the sexual marketplace for men. That's all. Rule 0. That's all we care about, right? Now, is some of the language kind of like strong and difficult to digest to people who don't know the red pill? Yes, but that's on purpose. Like, we say dread. Dread sounds really scary. It sounds like the title of a horror movie, right? But we say that because we want eyes to open. We want people to be like, what the hell, right? It's basically, hey, being attractive enough to where your girlfriend, your wife kind of doesn't take you for granted and is silently kind of understands that if she doesn't do her job as a good girlfriend or wife, that she could lose you to another girl. That's what dread is. But we don't want to say all that. We just say dread. She dreads leaving you, or she dreads the thought of you being with another girl, right? So it really is that simple, guys. And the rage phase kind of makes you feel like you got your back against the wall and it's all over and everyone's, and it's okay to feel like that. Like, there's nothing wrong with being angry. That's just a part of life. You were lied to your whole life. But now you know the truth, and take your time to accept it and to drink it in, and it's gonna hurt. It hurts. I know what you feel. I read The Manipulated Man in 2018, and after I read that book, it took me like 2 months to like kind of like even look at a girl and be like, kind of like able to see her for a person. I just saw her as an evil person, and not evil in the sense that I wanted to, was mad at her. I was scared. I legitimately was scared of women, not like to talk to them, but to see the things they did when I was in the military. The Me Too stuff. The how mean they were. I had to really like, when I was higher ranking, I had to really talk to some girls and really tell them, hey, can you stop with this like bullying stuff? you know, or I would just have to like set them straight, you know, because a lot of the behavior was unchecked and no one said anything. And I'd be like, hey, like you can't, if you saw a coworker on Tinder, don't like make fun of their profile so the whole department or the whole division, you know, because I saw your Tinder profile too, and it's not that great, right? That's the kind of stuff I would have to tell women, and these women, they kind of respected me because I had boundaries, right? But like it was tough for me outside of dating and relationships to see how like rude and like mean these women were to other people, and I kind of like lost hope in them beyond dating, right? I kind of lost hope in women, but you know that's just the phase you go through, and then you realize like, hey, she was just a bad person. She was right, and you have to move on. Now, um, those are things that you're getting with experience, right? There's only one way out of the rage phase, guys, and that's becoming the man in the arena. That's it. No amount of reading books, no amount of watching YouTube or whatever content you watch is going to pull you out. You have to go out there and go experience the world for yourself, right? Armed with knowledge, you have to go experience it for yourself. You're going to realize like the truth and the real world is much different than what you feel, right? Because what you feel is an emotional response to being lied to. You're scared, you know, and I always said the rage phase a lot of times is rooted in fear, you know, fear that you'll never be loved, fear that every woman that you come across will hurt you, whether it be career in your career, whether it be romantically, whether it be financially. You're just, it's fear. It's fear that now you've created this evil thing in your head, right? And I'll tell you, a lot of the black pill doomers, right? The let's say the blue pill guys, the black pill doomers, incels, whatever faction, right? Um, they don't hate red pill guys because of our success. They don't hate red pill guys because they think we're lying to them or we're telling them to lighten up or we have survivorship bias or anything like that. They don't like us because we're at peace and we've made peace with everything, right? When I tell stories on Twitter about the things that women have done with me, but I am just like, yeah, it happened, whatever, you know, a lot of people are kind of like, why are you so chill or calm, or why does this not affect you, or you know, can we hear more about the story, like how are you, you know, not. And I'm like, listen, here's the thing. um First off, I focused on myself. I got into the arena and I got beat up, and it happens, right? And one time there, you know, I did the story of how I had a girl who I was dating, and she's very into me, guys. Like she would send me packages when I was deployed in the Arctic Circle, and yeah, it was great. And never met her, but she was friends with my brother, and my brother introduced us online, right? And eventually, you know, I reached out to her on Facebook back, you know, when people used to talk on Facebook, and she was like, we hit it off. You know, we started texting and all that. And then I told her, hey, I'm going to get deployed here in a couple days. Here's my address to the ship. You can send me letters. And she ended up sending me boxes full of candy, coffee, her graduation pictures. We would email each other once a week, all this stuff. So it's like I got some level of genuine desire from her. And we would date long distance. You know, she lived 2 states away. So, you know, we saw each other when we could, whenever I got back. And then one day she, at the airport, she says, hey, I don't want what this is. I don't want it because it doesn't seem like you're stable. Because I was getting out of the military. I didn't know where I was going to be in like 6 months, right? So it's a very special time when you're getting out of the military. So she ends up leaving me at the airport. And she 6 months later, 4 months later, she pops up with another guy. And through the grapevine, I heard that this guy's a virgin. He's like 5'4". I'm like 6'1". And you know, he's not muscular at all. Just the opposite of me. You know, he's a half white, half Persian guy, all that. And you know what? It didn't make me that mad. You know, and I thought I was gonna be mad, but I was like, no, like it didn't make me that mad. Right. Because when I got in the military, I focused on myself completely. I went out there, I leveled up, I got a new job, I moved to Texas. And you know, the pandemic started, but I was well on my way to becoming a better version of myself. Um, and you know, I talked to other women, and she would message me, right? Um, and she's single now after all these years. Like it didn't work out with that guy, and that made me sad, right? And a lot of guys that are black pilled or incels or don't understand that. And the thing is, like, it's called you get an inner peace where you just stop caring about what other people are doing outside of your life. It's me in the world. I don't care about other people. Obviously, if I saw one of my exes and I'd get a little emotional. I'd be like, hey, you know, it happens. But um, it's just the only way you can achieve that zen is by being the man in the arena. And no one understands the man in the arena better than himself because everyone is spectating. They'll tell you all these things, and I'll tell you different entities. We'll get into different entities, people, thought processes that will be in the stands telling you, hey, you should left hook or you should have done this, or you should, like people that watch sports and all that stuff. And you'll realize that, like, no matter how much they tell you, they're not the man in the arena. They're not you, right? They can offer insight, I guess, but they're not the man in the arena. They're simply very they're very opinionated about how you should live your life. And these come in all shapes and forms. Like the first one would be your parents, right? Your parents, they want the best for you, right? They want to see you be happy, get the things you want. But a lot of the times they want it in the way that they want. They're hell bent on them or you doing the things they did their way, right? Some parents. And that can be tough for a guy, especially a guy that loves his parents and all that stuff. So while you're in the arena, let's say your mom's like, hey, you need to find yourself a good girl, right? And she sees you like years that you don't find a good girl yet. And she, to her, finding a good girl is just a matter of just going down to the corner store, going to church, and within a month or 2 months, you'll find a good girl, get married, and all that stuff. Especially if your mom wasn't born in the United States like my mom was. And they don't understand what it is to find a good girl these days. They don't understand how many girls you have to go through to find a girl that's not addicted to alcohol, that's not alcoholic, that doesn't smoke or vape all the time, that's not fat, that is a generally good person, that is marriage minded. Like they don't understand how difficult that is if that's what you want, right? They think that it's just a matter of you just existing like in their times. So it could be difficult. It could create a big disconnect in your family because they're seeing the way you do things and it's different from them. But they're not the man in the arena like you are. They are suffering from this thing that they think the world is the same and that the rules are still the same. They don't understand. So if you love your parents, forgive them. They don't understand, right? And you're just gonna accept that, like, for this part of your life, this whole looking for a girlfriend, looking for a wife, looking for just girls, it's something that only you can understand, and the women in front of you. They'll never get it. It'll create a disconnect in your life, and that's okay. It is what it is, guys. What's another person that that constantly criticizing the man in the arena? You have the scientists, the researchers, the dating researchers, right? So these guys love to quantify everything, human interaction. Now, let me ask you guys this. Is human interaction easy to quantify? Right? Like, think, like, I've been on lots of dates, right? In the last couple of years. Obviously, I've kind of toned it down. I'm not really dating that much anymore, right? I'm kind of like relaxed. But I've been on lots of dates, and I myself kind of notice patterns, just like, because I'm a human. Human notice patterns, right? And I wrote those patterns down. I wrote a 100 point thread on Twitter, and it went viral. And it's the reason I'm here in front of you. I got discovered, and here I am. But what was I saying? So you go on these dates, and you kind of notice patterns, and you're starting to think, hey, like, um, if I do this, girls respond this way for the most part, right? And it may work or may not. And then you're just like, okay, cool. This works for me. This doesn't, right? And that could be based on your, how you look, your vibe, the energy you bring to the date, what part of the country you're in, what country you're in general. area, environment, the race, culture of the person you're on a date with, all that. So many factors, right? And you have scientists and dating researchers that look at the red pill and they're just like, this stuff's for losers, right? This stuff's for people that hate women or people that are incels and all that stuff, whatever, right? And I'm just like, okay, fair enough. You don't have to like everything that you see on the internet or read or anything, right? So you say, okay, cool. Um, what is your plan then to help men? Because we already have essays, books, uh, courses, coaches, podcasts, um, meetups, uh, testimonials, but most importantly, we have the mental models that we came up with to help guys. So, you, Mr. Science Man, you, Mr. Research Man, what is your plan? Like, how are you going to create a complex of answers and mental models and protocols for so young guys don't end up crazy, hurting themselves, or and such, right? And the answer is always nothing, right? It's always nothing. And the reason is that um the main focus of science is the science is the arm of was one of the arms of current gynocentric social order, right? So science and data, whenever it is presented that a woman is bad, they have to spin it in a way where it makes both of us look bad, right? And that's just the way it is. That they science stops at gynocentrism. It cannot be like, hey, woman bad, because the data shows it. They have to be like, oh shit, women's bad. How about we say both genders do this, and then we'll keep moving on, right? I'll give you guys an example, but first, let me just say hi to some people in here. Red pill rage lasted 2 years for me. Yeah, man, it lasted a while for me, but I was just very blue pilled, and I've gotten hurt. The most like I remember in college, I recorded 10 songs on piano for a girl that I was head over heels for, like, and I gave it to her in a CD because there was, it was bare like the iPod barely came out. Um, and I gave it to her in a CD, saying, like, hey, this is for you. I don't know where that girl is right now, guys. And I was like, that girl had me in a chokehold, right? I was in love with that girl, but yeah, after that, I started slowly unplugging. I got ruined by a couple women, but I'm glad it happened, right? It's better to love women for what they are, not for what they could never be, right? Um, in the military, do most of the girls sleep around? Uh, yeah, it's. I'm just gonna say yes. There's no other way about it. Yes, that a lot of women do sleep around in the military. Took the RP in 2018. Very long drawn out process of repeating the same mistakes. Moved cities, which really helped. I am the new me. Yeah, you gotta forgive yourself, man. Like, it's not your fault. That was like my first video. Is like to forgive yourself. You're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna do dumb stuff. You're gonna get taken advantage by women from time to time. It happens. Like, just laugh it off and do better next time. That's all you can do. We got Opium in the chat. What's up, Opium? How you doing? We got the great and powerful Swerve plays. What's up, guys? How you guys doing? But anyway, um, yeah, excuse me. But yeah, that's what the data, the research is. Now, is there a lot of data and research that is in good faith that kind of like adds to the red pill and to you helping you live a better life? Of course, like um there's a lot of things that if you look at the data objectively and you kind of understand what it means, you can spin it in a positive way. They'll say, hey, 1/3 of men aren't having sex or are virgins. It sucks, right? Because, you know, a lot of, I want everyone to get laid and be happy, right? But shit, like 1/3 of men aren't getting laid. That's like, how are we, how are there's not an uprising, right? But then I realized, wait, my plumbing's good, power's on. Um, every work site I go to, is running just fine. All the infrastructure of society is running fine right now, right? So okay, that must mean that the guys that aren't trying aren't getting rewarded, Is that so bad? Maybe. That's up for you to decide, right? Do you want guys to do nothing and complain to get women? I don't. I want people who work hard and do things to get rewarded, just like everyone else does, right? It's only fair. However, does that mean I'm not compassionate for those guys? Of course I am. You know, it's the reason I do what I do, because I was in the military and I had to talk to guys like that who I had to convince them to do their job, and they were on, you know, I don't know if I can say it, S word watch. You know, we had to follow them around for 24 hours because they threatened to hurt themselves, right? And how do you convince someone to do that, like that, to do their job? How do you convince someone like that to, hey, make your bed, take a shower, like wake up? You know, I don't know. You don't know, but it's difficult. So I have a lot of compassion for this stuff, which probably is not the best, but I have a lot of compassion because I've seen up face to face what it's like for a guy to get to that point, and I've had to live with them with in bunks below and above me. So it's like it was very real to me when a young guy is on his last legs. You know, when a young guy turns to alcohol, when a young guy, his mind breaks, right, and he has to go to a mental hospital. Um, it's very real to me. So on one hand, I'm glad that like guys that aren't trying aren't just getting women falling out of the sky in your lap. But at the same time, I'm very compassionate for those guys that don't have a step one. They don't have like a step one. And maybe if we gave a lot of those guys a step one of just like, hey, step one, go take a shower, you know, step one, go for a walk and keep doing it. Get over yourself. You're not that important, and that's okay. You know, maybe we can take that number from 28% to 22% or something like that, which is better than nothing. But that's not that's not what the red pill is about. We're not trying to change society in a whole. We can only change ourselves. And whether a full-grown man wants to do that or not, that's on him. You know, we can't force anyone to do something they don't want, unless it's, you know, by force, you know, violence. So all right. But yeah, going back to the science thing and the research thing, what they do is they throw out charts trying to quantify human behavior, trying to use science and data and research in order to prove to you that it's not so bad, or it's bad, or it's too bad, or all these things, right? Well, basically, what they're trying to say is like, hey, your personal observations and experiences don't matter. Take it from us. Take our word for it, right? Um, they'll say like most women are marrying 1 to 3 years within their range, right? And you know, it could be true. Like, sure, let's say it's true, but like, why? And then they ask why. Well, that's because it's the best age. I'm like, why? You know, like you got to keep asking why. And they don't know why, because two reasons: either they don't care, or you have to ask the question like, why do women do something, right? And that's starting to get into the criticize women territory, and that's where science stops, and that's where the red pill kind of like kicks in, and it's just like, hey, the reason women are marrying 1 to 3 guys 1 to 3 years within their range, right? Excuse me. First off, is all of them have to, right? Because here's what happens. Young girls are setting their young girls have a lot of power over who they sleep with now, right? They're setting their age ranges and height ranges on dating apps. And I've asked women over the years, like, hey, what's the biggest problem with guys your age? You know, why are you pursuing me? I'm like 10 years older, 7 years older, 6 years, 8 years older. And they're like, oh, they don't plan dates, they don't take the lead, stuff like that. And I was like, okay. So from a female perspective, it makes sense that it would date older, because older men have more money to take them out, and they're you know, they've grown and matured, and they can lead. You know, they know what they want, and they can lead. And also they're less emotional, like they've been through it all at that point. So when a girl rejects them or plays around or shit tests them, they're just like, whatever. You know, I got a huge meeting in the morning, and I got a whole bunch of things, and I got other girls or whatever, right? So women like that. So it makes sense that women like older men. Now, another reason women date 1 to 3 years within their age range is also because they tried to lock down the older, hotter more mature, richer guys, and it didn't work because those guys are cleaning up right now, right? Now, I said this on Kyle's show, and I'm going to be really clear with this, and I want you guys so you guys understand why, when, and why women say this. When a woman gets online, look at me in the eyes, guys. When a woman gets online and she starts complaining about there's too many men that aren't stepping up, there's too many incels, 1/3 of men aren't having sex because they suck, whatever. What she's saying is, guys, is I am tired of sharing alphas because mathematically speaking, if 1/3 of guys aren't getting laid, right, most women are sharing guys, right? It isn't 1-to-1 because that wouldn't mathematically make sense, right? 18 to 30, that was the age range they did this. So so those women that are supposed to be paired up with those guys, what are they doing? Where are they? Just not having sex? They're having sex. Where are they? They're sharing guys, right? And see, that's the part where they, the researchers are like, no, it's mate switching hypothesis, and I'm like, no. They're sharing guys. The marriage rate is 6 per 1,000 right now, so they're sharing guys. So there you go. The science won't tell you that. They'll constantly make excuses for women, right? All data is like that, and they will never be able to sit down and say, hey, women do this bad thing and just leave it at that. No, they say women do this bad thing because men, or women do this bad thing but men too, or women do this bad thing but it's because they were forced to, or because society. And then if it really is that they did something bad, then they'll bring up, but men do this thing that's even worse. And it's just like, how does that help anyone? Always ask that. You as the man in the arena, you as the guy that is getting beat up, rejected, ghosted, you're having great victories, you're meeting beautiful women, 8 out of 10 women, or you're meeting you're getting rejected by the chubby 4 out of 10 because she doesn't want to dance with you at salsa night or something like that. Like, you that's in there that's getting punched and bruised and beat up, and then you get great victories and great losses that and you're learning and you're living life, you're taking life by the balls, you're raw dogging your dating life right now, right? How does that help you? Always ask when people have this content, how does this help me? How does this get me from point A to point B? If it doesn't get you anywhere, then it's not red pill. It's just science or data or whatever. It's not designed to help you. And that's the thing. Always ask. Unless you're using it for entertainment, which a lot of manosphere content is entertainment, ask yourself, how does this help me? Right? Is this person in the stands just saying, hey, if you punch harder, or is this person in the stands saying you should have done this, or hey, you suck because your boxing sneakers aren't good or aren't tight, or are you the coach or the trainer that's in the corner saying, egging them on, saying, hey, you got punched in the face because you're too slow, like start speeding up, focus on your footwork, stupid. That's the difference, right? Understand that the stuff that helps you is that coach or trainer in your corner yelling at you, and the stuff that doesn't are the people in the stands kind of like pontificating, just telling you how to live your life, right? Man in the arena is tough because you don't know who to trust or who's going to help you. And there are, we can go to other entities. Like, one of the other entities of people that are just spectators trying to criticize you and how you do things is the like female dating coaches. That's another one. Female dating coaches, when they give advice to men, it's always very woo-woo magical thinking and very emotional kind of words that don't mean much, right? Like, you go to my channel, I'm not saying I'm like the end-all be-all dating advice. There's much better than me, right? But ask a female dating coach or a girl that says she knows how to, give advice men so they can get laid, right? Ask them about stuff. Ask them what a shit test is. I don't know. Ask them what. Here's my favorite. Ask them what was it? A neg. Ask them what a neg is. Not saying I use negs or I don't, right? Ask them what a neg is. Oh, it's an insult. No. An insult would be like, I go to a pretty girl and I'd be like, hey, I don't really like your dress. You should get a better dress. That's an insult. That will get you ignored, shit on, kicked out of the club, right? Whatever. A neg is this is what a neg is. Oh, I love your dress. My mom used to wear something like that. Or, hey, I love your dress. I saw a couple girls this week have the same dress as you. I love it. That's a neg. And you guys know why that's a neg. I don't have to explain unless you want me to explain it, but that's the difference, right? And a female dating coach will never be able to explain that to you, right? Hey, female dating coach, how do I get a girl back to my place? She'll say like, oh, just use the magical energy and the vibe and the connection, the electricity between both your foreheads, and just look up and pray to Shiva, and just just look her in the eyes and just say, coming back to my place. You're like, that's what that's what they have to offer you, right? And guys pay for that stuff or follow that stuff, right? And it's just like, wow, you know, this person that has 1/8 of your testosterone and has a different set of reality and laws of reality applied to them, including legally, financially, and romantically, is trying to tell you how to live your life and how to go about one of the most important things you'll ever do, which is finding a girl, whether to marry, have a girlfriend, or just casual, right? That should be insulting to you. Their existence is an insult to your honor, like Vegeta says. Like it should be insulting because that is the antithesis of the man in the arena. It's someone who's just purely a spectator, can never fight, can never do anything, but is in the arena trying to tell you how to do things. And that's why it's so insulting. And that's why I call them out all the time on YouTube or on Twitter or X, because it really is one of the most insulting things as a man for you to tell me how I go about getting you, right? And I know a lot of women, a lot of them mean it in good faith. But you know, I feel like the women that have a science background, have stuff to offer. I feel like women that, kind of have this thing where they can kind of sympathize, not empathize, sympathize with men, which is okay. Um, I'm all for content that rattles the cages. I'm all for content that makes people think and all that stuff, right? But when it comes to you sitting down in front of a girl and she's beautiful and she's laughing, right? And she has your hand on top of your hand, right? And she's telling you a story and she's tearing up because she's telling you a sad story about her life. And you're just smiling, right? And you're squeezing her hand and her boob meets out and it's all veiny and you're just trying to like focus. You're like praying that you don't just stare too long at her cleavage or whatever. You're just like, the only person that can help you in that situation is you. Nobody. You are purely the man in the arena in that situation, and you just got to do the best you can with what you know. No amount of charts, no amount of female dating coaches telling you to like read her body language and connect through electricity and crystals or whatever. None of them can help you. Only you. Hell, I can't even help you, right? And that's the beauty of it. And that's the beauty of being a man, is that you have agency enough to where you can go out and you can get punched and bruised and all that stuff. And you know what the best part of all of this is? You start realizing I ain't that important, and that's okay, right? And a lot of guys have trouble because they got taught their whole lives they were like super important. Millennials have a messianic complex where we thought that our generation was going to be the one to fix it all, right? That we were going to go down in history as being the generation that fixed global warming and fixed all society's problems. But in reality, everything before us was already well-oiled and running. Things were happening. Planes were flying. Buildings were going up. All these things, right? And we thought, hey, we got to improve everything. And we realized like we couldn't improve much, right? Maybe Mark Zuckerberg made social media, improved a lot of things. And Elon Musk. But those are like 7 people that that really changed things. In reality, we have to integrate ourselves into what is reality, and a lot of millennials have trouble with that. And the way we kind of circumvent that or that blow from realizing that we really aren't that special or important is through social media, right? So people create brands and stuff based on feelings, emotion, and what should be rather than what is, right? And those people aren't in the arena because they refuse to be in the arena. They're like, hey, I don't want to date. I don't want to become a black pill doomer because women are too hard, right? And I'm just like, dude, you have testosterone, right? You know that until you're like 80, you're gonna look at a nice ass or a nice pair of boobs or a cute smile, and it's gonna make you aroused, right? You know that, right? Like it's not going away unless you chemically alter yourself, would probably destroy your mind too. You're gonna be attracted to women until you die, right? So you need to think about that. Um, and that's reality. That's not like me trying to, that's reality. That's the real thing. Number two, you giving up, like no one cares. No one cares that you gave up and you removed yourself from the market, from the arena. No one cares, right? You can die a virgin or you can die not having sex for 20 years. No one will know. And you know what the beautiful part of this is? If you go out and you get rejected by 3 girls today, no one knows, right? I go to salsa night and I know the DJ, I know the DJ's friends. Hell, I know the DJ's girlfriend. I know all the bartenders, right? Hell, they give me free drinks all the time, right? Um, I know the regulars. I know the girls that come sometimes, right? And in that mess of salsa night, I ask a chubby, small little girl, "Hey, you want to dance?" I do it in my smooth kind of like Romeo way, and they're like, "No, I'm good," right? And then they dance with everyone else. I am the same man the next day. I am not different. I am like my salary is the same. My contributions to society and my company are the same. My brand is the same. Tadashi is the same. My piano skills are the same. My follower count is the same. No one cares, guys. No one. No one. No one at Salsa Night cared, right? And this happens to me from time to time. Um, and once you realize that, it just changes the game, right? Because in reality, in real life, outside of social media, no one really cares that you got rejected by a girl. Don't take it so personal. It's okay. There's so many other women on earth. You're not the entitlement that you get for women, it goes away completely, right? You start realizing that it's not personal, right? Every guy that womanizes and dates, right? He's always had he's had this experience, right? He goes out, approaches a 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10, or goes on a date with a girl that's like not that good looking, and the girl is just disgusted by him or just like not feeling it, right? And then next week or 2 weeks later, he goes out with a gorgeous gal, and the gal's just so into him, and they hit it off, right? And you maybe hook up at the end of the night or whatever. And the guy, like that's a transformative experience for a guy. It's almost like an inflection point in terms of your journey with women, because you start realizing like it's not you. I right, and I hammer this a lot because, guys, I've been rejected by ugly women. Like I went to a club a couple months ago and they started playing bachata, right? And I was in a suit. I was looking good, new haircut in a suit. And I asked this little girl, because I like to dance with everyone. I don't care how they look. I just want to dance with everyone. Hey, would you like to dance? And she looked at me with disgust, like she literally almost like that, right? Literally one of the ugliest women I've ever talked to, right? And I was like, well, that sucks, whatever. And then, the other day I danced with a Moldovan hairdresser, one of the most beautiful women, and we've gone on a couple dates and all that stuff, and she's great, you know. Um, but that's how it is, guys. And it's not personal. It's not anything against you. You're not that special, right? This narcissism, it's like you need to get punched in the face by life a couple times to have that ego death or get that narcissism out of your face, because that's what incels, black pill doomers, rad femmes, all these people, they still have one thing all in common. They have huge egos, right? They don't understand that they think that life happened to them and that they just got a bad deal. And, it's like, dude, you're not that important. You're just not that important. No matter how much you think you are, you're not. You're going to get hurt. It's just part of life. It sucks. But you eventually, the more you run away from the arena, the more weird things you're going to start coming up with in your head, because you need to get punched from time to time in life and dating in order to kind of like ground you and be like, oh, this is what it really is, right? You can say a lot of things, and you can take those stats that the scientists and the researchers say, and you can take the posts from people that are having trouble, whether it be male or female, You could take them to heart, right? But realize those people aren't in the arena. They pretend like they are. Incels will say, "Oh, I tried and I didn't get it," and the rad films will say, I tried to date men, but they're just so bad. I'm like, really? Because to me, there's most women and most men are decent people. If you separate women's mating choices and the way they treat men with their regular personality, they're not that bad. Problem is that we want to have sex with them, right? So we got to be very careful in the way we go about it, because women are designed to destroy you, and if they can destroy you, give you a blowjob. That's literally what it is. Um, you have to be careful out there, right? And the only way you learn is by you know getting beat up, and the lessons become more real, right? Like, how many guys have you gone out with a date with a girl who made you wait, and you're just like, oh, she's a good girl because she made me wait. And then you're just like, wait, she's giving it up really fast for everyone else but me. I don't want to be the last guy to have, I don't want to be the safe option, or the beta in waiting. No guy wants to be that. It's a horror story. Um, you don't want to be Forrest Gump, basically. So we came up with something like, hey, 1, 2, 3 date rule, right? If she doesn't want to be with you by the third date, you know, realize that she's giving it to guys much faster. That doesn't mean she's a bad person. It just means she's just not attracted to you. And a lot of women will not cut it off, when they're not attracted. They'll just keep going and going and going, because the free attention is just so tantalizing. And it's just biologically, they need that attention, because it means they have men paying attention to them, which means a higher chance for survival. Simple as that. So we come up with these mental models and protocols and reactor plant manual kind of like ways of thinking, because we're trying to protect you a little bit better from the fight. You're gonna have to fight anyway. You're gonna get punched, right? You don't go into a UFC fight or a boxing match and expect to get 0 hits. You're gonna get hit. But how about you learn about footwork? How about you learn when to jab and when to haymaker? How about you learn when to back off, when to dodge? How about you learn when to attack? All those things will help you, but you have to be the one to throw the punch and make that decision, right? No one can do it for you. Again, you have to be the man in the arena. Everyone is going to try to tell you how to go about this, and if you're not careful, if you constantly are searching for a guru, someone to tell you how to live your life, realize that they're not in the corner with you. They're in the stands, right? They're in the stands. They get a kick off telling someone to do something, and then they don't get any repercussion because you did it. They actually laugh at you, right? And there's guys that are in your corner simply. And you know what? I'm not in your corner, guys. I am not in your corner. You know who's in your corner? Your friends, your family, the people that care about you, right? The people that said, "Hey, you're doing all right. I accept what you're doing. If you need anything, those are the people in your corner, right?" I simply am just, hey, this is what worked for me in the fight, right? Um, and you can use it or you cannot. It may work for you, may not, but it's worked for me, and that's what the red pill is. Simple as that. It's not save the West, right? Um, and these mental models are written in blood, right? They're not like we didn't get together and just like decide, hey, women suck. Let's just write about it all day. No, it's about, we want what's best for men, and a lot of times, 99% of the time, what's best for men is what's best for women. Feminism doesn't see it that way. Feminism is like, no, we want what's best for us, because what's best for men is gonna hurt us, and it's actually the opposite, right? But they don't see it that way, and they never will. Feminism is here to stay. There's no pendulum, all right, unless there's a great war where half of us die, and women are forced to like really share us and all that. But when it comes down to it, there's a beauty in you going out there and testing this stuff in real time. There's a beauty in that. You finally get to this phase in your life where you're not happy when women lead unhappy lives because of their bad decisions. There's a beauty in that, and that's something that no one can take away from you, right? You can see all the red meat podcasts you want. You can see all the kickouts. You can see all the anger that the genders have, right? And you know, the most elite mindset is looking at the opposite gender and appreciating them for what they are, right? I can tell you right now, one of the reasons besides the hot women that men like going to like Latin America is because the women there understand you, right? I've always said this. When I was growing up in Puerto Rico, um, and looking how my Dominican mom treated my dad, uh, there was always one thing that I saw that most Latin women from those countries kind of like understood is like how you are as a man, right? They understand that we're always horny. They understand that we get jealous. They understand um what we are, and it takes so much effort and energy out of dating because you come with more authenticity, right? You can be a man, and it feels great because they understand you. You don't have to explain to women, and that's the problem with like guys that come out of like from other countries here, especially Latin America, and they just feel like women are just out in outer space in terms of like their like they're not like do you understand what a man is like how we are, right? Like for example, some big thing here we have in the United States is that women get really jealous or really mad when we like other women's pictures on social media, right? Now, or follow other women, right? Now, do I recommend that? No, it's kind of corny. Don't do that. That it shows it's a demonstration of lower value as a man. However, in Latin America, the fights were never about that with my friends' girlfriends. They were never about, oh, you followed the girl and you liked her, some model or whatever. Like the guys would have, excuse me, the guys would have calendars of like really hot chicks or newspaper cutouts of really hot chicks in their dorm, and they would have girlfriends, and the girls didn't care. It's like, yeah, guys like pictures of boobs and ass. That's just what they are. Here, it's like there's a whole movement about a calendar because the calendar had hot chicks on it. And I'm like, that's okay if it's against your religion, of course. But how many of our grandfathers had calendars with like hot models or hot Playboy models or something um, in their garages? A lot of them did. Who cares? And that's the thing. Like, it's hard to explain that to women here. That's difficult, right? I know I'm getting on a tangent, but that was the hard part for me coming from Latin America. How I had this really conventional masculinity about myself, and I had a lot of expectations, but I knew my expectations. And then when I went out to date, I realized that women here are very. There's like an anxiety, you know. There's like everything we do, they have to track and have to be completely knowledgeable. They make up little theories about how we are, and it's like there's this disconnect. They don't want to put in the effort to understand us, right? Whereas in Latin America, it's just like, yeah, men like boobs. Moving on. He's not gonna leave me. He loves me. I know. He can have his calendar. I don't care. You know. Um, I've seen it with old married couples in Latin America where the mom found pornography on his phone. And it was like, oh yeah, cool, yeah, sure. He likes that stuff, whatever. And then they moved on. Like nothing happened. Why do you think those marriages last so long? Like it's because simply things that didn't matter, you know? Like it I have to explain to women I date sometimes. Let's say like I'll take a girl that I really like, let's say I take her out on a date and I take her out to dinner or something, and I put in the effort. I dress nice. I plan the date. I do all these things. We take a trolley ride before um, the date and all that stuff, and we go around Dallas or something. Like a nice date, something fit for a loyal girlfriend. But I decided one day, hey, I just want to go out and have a nice time. And then a week later, they're just like, oh, I feel like you don't do this or don't do that. I'm like, hey, we're not. You haven't asked me to be your boyfriend yet. And number two, like like I just took you out on a date, and all that. Like a couple days ago, I'm busy, I have a job and I have other responsibilities, like it's like they don't understand men and they don't want to see the big picture. It's always like, and I guess that's just like TikTok brain or, but anyway, I digress. Man in the arena. Back to Man in the Arena. Essentially, where were we? So the black pill doomers, the data researchers, whatever, the data dorks, whatever, um, the the ego invested gurus that are like, hey, be like me, it worked for me, all that. Um, they're all not the man in the arena. They they're not you. They're not feeling the punches and the kicks. There's a beauty to learning this stuff on your own and then having the red pill praxology confirm it, right? And that's what it was for me. Like I read the Rational Male in 2014. It's coming up on in 3 months. It'll be my 10-year anniversary of becoming red pilled, right? Um, and I was like, wow, this stuff's interesting. And then I started dating a girl that was kind of crazy. She might have been BPD. Um, man, did that help so much. I noped out of there really fast, and maybe that I wouldn't have been here um, if it wasn't for maybe his books. I'd probably be somewhere else, married to a crazy chick or doing something crazy, right? It really has changed the course of humanity. But I had to do the work. It was me, I had to go out there and date and do the things that I needed to do, and eventually, it got to a point where like I really like to date and I really like women. Um, and I kind of did it too much, right? I spent the last 3 years, 2021 and 2022, and part of 2023. I just pedaled to the metal. I think I got a little addicted to dating or dating apps. But I learned a lot, and I made a lot of mistakes, and I had a lot of lessons. There's still stuff I struggle with. There's still stuff, and there's stuff that I've really accepted that seems like no one else can accept, right? Um, and there's stuff in the future that I'll have to accept, and it won't be easy. But that's just life, you know. Um, is it fair? Not always, like every generation has their thing they have to deal with. And I think that a lot of people want time machines, and we don't have that. Oh, if it was the 80s, if it was the 70s, if it was the 90s, life would be so much better. Would it? I'm living a very comfortable life. Look at my setup. I'm tweeting during work hours, so my job isn't that stressful. I have the time to have a little puppy. I have the time to do this and stream to you guys, and I'm meeting great people almost every day. I meet someone cool, new. You know, I have the technology and the knowledge to get fit and shape. I have the Library of Alexandria in my pocket. You know, so if ever I need to know anything, I just find it. Right. The only thing now is that hey, girls are a little harder to deal with or to get, and is it their fault? It depends how you look at it. We got handed godlike powers and people don't know what to do. That's why there's so many dating podcasts and red pill stuff, is because people are trying to figure out what to do with this godlike power that we handed. Um, just stop blaming yourself. Go out there and fight, get hit, get punched. No one cares, right? It's like buying a cheesecake. Go to your local Kroger or supermarket. Go buy a cheesecake. Everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, cool, he's buying a cheesecake. He must have like a party or a get together, a work thing, In reality, you're gonna eat that cheesecake all by yourself, but no one cares. They just all assume that you're gonna use it for a gathering or something. And then you go to the checkout, they're gonna be like, "Oh, well, enjoy your party, sir." And you're like, "Yeah, And you go home and you eat the whole cheesecake. Maybe you get sick, maybe you throw up the next day, or you have the runs or whatever. But really, no one found out. No one cared, right? You can look at that as, hey, no one cares about me as a man. I'm sad. Or you can look at that and like, whoa, no one really cares. Shit, I'm gonna go to salsa night. Shit, I'm gonna go talk to girls at the coffee shop. Shit, I'm gonna go. Unless you're being absolutely stupid and like waving a flag, like, hey, look at me, look what I'm doing. People don't care that you're taking lumps and you're fighting, and that's the beautiful thing about being a guy. Like, we don't need that attention. So, um, go to the gym and you'll see that someone lifts wrong and hurts themselves, or like you have to emergency spot them because they put too much weight. What do you think of that guy? Oh, as long as he's okay, I'm okay. Like, be careful, dude, next time. And then you forget he even existed. That's how fast people forget. So don't worry about it. You're not less of a human being because you failed with a chick, right? You're only less of a human being if you're telling other people to be scared of failure. or to do things their way because your way is somehow the best. That's not what we're here for. So yeah, you guys got any questions for me? I've been ranting and talking so long. Whew, man, I gotta learn how to shut up sometimes. Oh yeah, Baron. It's not the NFL. You can't retire from sex. Yeah, like guys, I tell you, like when I was 16, I liked girls. When I was 25, I liked girls. And even today, stressed out, my testosterone was probably crashed today because I'm stressed and I didn't get good sleep. You know, a pretty girl would send me a picture of her playing sports or something, and I'm just like, yep, yep, I like that. It doesn't go away. You can't retire from your sex drive, and you have to understand that that's it. That's the cross you bear, dude. As a guy, that's it. You know, you can't ignore it, right? No, you can masturbate 4 times a day, and you still go outside, and you'll still see a pretty girl. You'll be like, damn, I would like to have sex with her. My dick is probably not working right now, but I would like to have sex with her, and that's just the way of being a man. And being a man is awesome. It's just constant W's if you're smart. Uh, yeah, do not hate women because they're not like us. They aren't like us, guys, and that's okay. Would you want girls to be like us? No. I mean, it's nice, playing Mario Kart with a girl because she likes video games or having the same humor sometimes. But like for the most part, I kind of want my girl to be, complimentary to me. Let's see. Yeah, there's no going back. It's just the way it is. There's no pendulum. Things are gonna keep going in the future. Booty Scratch says, no one cares enough about you for their judgment to be a consequence worth giving a fuck about. You're going to eat shit for a while. It's just part of the process of improving. Yeah, you're not that important. And that was my biggest thing. When I joined the military, I thought it was smart. Nah, not really. There were people that could read a page and like had photographic memory. And I was just like, how the hell do they do that? And I struggled all the way through. And then I became a good operator because I was just like, fuck it. I stopped caring. Like, I'm just gonna do the thing and shut up. You know, with women, I thought I was some super Chad, and then I got rejected by ugly women constantly for a while, and I was like, oh shit, I'm not. I'm kind of not good with women as I thought. I've always had some kind of female attention, but it's just like I thought I was good, right? Um, and with piano, same thing. Any skill, anything where you get shown that what your real skill level is, the only way forward is to stop caring what other people think and get to work. That's it. People are gonna there are always gonna be people in the stands, like the speech says, that will criticize you, and you just gotta like kind of deal with it. What are you gonna do, right? You're cooking right now. Yes, I am. Well, one question: how did you reach the stage of acceptance instead of red pill raging? Well, I did red pill rage. Acceptance. Two things helped me. I met a really good girl. Um, and I got tired of being mad. It was just too much. I couldn't deal with it anymore. Right? It was just like eating me. It was eating me. It was like burning me alive, and I couldn't function anymore without seeing, because women are 50% of the population, and I also felt like I was wasting my time. You know, so you know all this time during my red pill rage phase, I was lifting weights. I was getting qualified in the military, becoming a better version. I was a qualified reactor operator. Making more money, did the things that I wanted, and it kind of the red pill rage kind of slowly dissipated. And then I met a good girl, and though things didn't work out, it was just like she showed me the good parts of women again. Like sending me packages when I was overseas, um, sending me letters. Just kind of like she wasn't like the reason but it was just like, oh, there are good women, and women are, not that they're good or bad. It's just like she's decided to show me the best parts of herself, right? We call that genuine desire. When a woman goes out of her way to ensure that there's no doubt in your mind that she wants you to be the only guy that she's talking to. So, um, those two things really helped me: self-improvement and meeting and being around people that really were good, that made you feel good. You know, when I first met her, I remember when I first met her, it was in Puerto Rico. I remember the exact place, the exact Airbnb, because we had been texting, emailing, and she was sending me packages for like 3 months. And then we finally met. I went to Puerto Rico and we met, and I was terrified. I'm like, there she is. She wasn't a catfish, thank God. She was kind of hot. Um, you know, and we talked and all that stuff. And I'm like, wow, this is she's hot, but like she's really cool, you know, like she's a cool person. She gets along with my friends. Obviously, she met I was the last person of that friend group, right, to come into that friend group. And it just felt like, oh, she's not trying to ruin my life. She's just a normal person. She likes me. And I kind of like slowly yanked me out, and it's a gradual process. And I'm glad I had my Red Pill Rage face. I really did, because it was the only way out. You don't just click and be like, "Oh, that's how women are." I had no idea. All right, cool, new way of thinking. No, it burned me. It burned me, but I turned that energy into something positive, which was the gym, work, and simply, you know, giving women a chance. Right, giving good women a chance. Because there's a quote from a song by Julieta Venegas and Bad Bunny. And the song is called "Lo Siento, Bebé," which translates to "I'm sorry, baby." And basically, it's a song about a girl who sings, "Hey, you got burned, and I want to see you. This is nothing. I just want you to let you know you have to open your heart up to the world." Right? That's what the song is about. Um, and I think the opening, or one of the lines that she sings is "No te cierres a este mundo," which translates to "Don't close your heart to this world," right? And that's what I was doing throughout my whole child. I got emotionally abused as a kid, right? So I had a lot of issues with opening up to people. And then I joined the military and I got really beat down. And I went through a lot of stuff. I had to really kind of like really dig deep and be like, it's not personal. People do hurt people, and all that. So when I finally met, she was one of the first people in my life that I met that like was in good faith, that I trusted. And it wasn't that she did anything amazing. She was just she was just fun to be around, just positive. Um, and she left me for that guy, like I was telling you, and I was totally fine with that because she gave me something that I don't think a lot of women could give you, and that's just um, a positive outlook on women, a good representative of the opposite gender. And I think most men need that once in a while, because if not, you'll just go deeper and deeper into your rage face. You need to meet women that are good and that like aren't are just good people overall, regardless of it's a man or woman, employer, employee, whatever. Good. It will then pull you out of your rage phase slowly, as well as self improvement and just reading the stuff that kind of like gives you perspective and all that. So yeah, that's basically my story. I really appreciate her, and if I ever have the what do you call it, the confidence, because I want to leave her alone. She's already living her own life, but to tell her, hey, thanks. You really showed me you really helped me with that phase of my life. But I don't know. I think she's happy in her own life, so I probably won't tell her. But yeah, basically that. Thanks for the question. I think King had, how did you reach the state of acceptance instead of red pill raging? Yeah, I think that was already asked. King have to throw yourself into the arena. Muse mastery will come. You have to get out of your own head and the lessons come. Yeah, it's just martial arts, my friend. Boxing, martial arts. You're gonna get hit a lot, and then you become a master, and nothing phases you, right? You're gonna start out as Po from Kung Fu Panda, and you're gonna end up as Oogway, right? You're just gonna like a lot of times. How when you remember guys Kung Fu Panda, where you see where Oogway was just speaking weird stuff, and you're like, what the hell does that mean? Like, what are you talking about? Like what is this metaphor that you use, Master Oogway? That makes no sense. And then as you watch the movie, you're just like, oh, Oogway was right all along. Master Oogway knew what he was talking about, right? And that's what kind of like it is for everything in life. Like I was Po, I was confused. I thought, I wanted to become a womanizer. I wanted to have a girlfriend. I wanted to be this handsome Chad that, had the perfect girlfriend and the hot and the family and all that. And then I got my ass beat constantly. And then all the stuff that Oogway was saying made zero sense. I'm like, like hypergamy. What do you mean? I'm good enough. Like I exist. Shouldn't I get a girl or assume don't obsess? Not every girl's a slut. Just because she makes me wait for sex doesn't mean she's a slut, whatever. And then I like kind of took my lumps and I fought. Was it Lao, the big lion, the big tiger, the evil tiger? And then I came to this conclusion. I'm just like, oh, Master Uguay was right all along. This when he pulls out the scroll and the to become the dragon warrior, and that's what you ultimately want to become. You want to become the dragon warrior, not by just opening a scroll, right? You want to take the lumps all the way up. So when you finally get to the scroll, you realize like, oh, it was me all along that was supposed to be the guy to make myself the dragon warrior, um not some kind of special scroll or some incantation, right? And that's the problem with a lot of these this content where they're trying to sell you a magic pill, right? They're trying to sell you like, if you do this, life will be easier, right? Yeah, of course, I can give you guys a line, you know, I can give you guys logistics, like if you guys go on my Patreon, I talk about that stuff, but um, you have to like kind of look at the red pill as not your personality, not an ideology, none of that stuff. It's simply the sword, right? And you have to wield the sword. That's all. Yeah. Yeah, small wins help pull you out of rage. Yeah, like you'll hit 405 deadlift, you'll hit 225 bench, you'll get a raise, you'll get a promotion at work. These little, I mean, they're big in a way, but they're also little over the course of your life. And you slowly start realizing like I gotta put in the work. This is what life's about. I don't just get a girlfriend because I exist, or I don't just get a promotion because I exist. It starts bleeding over and you start becoming more a complete man. Um, yeah, thank you. RP Matthew, on Red Pill Rage, ego is heavy. True confidence is power. Yeah, your ego is what kills you, right? Um, Ego is ultimately what's going to slow you down. And the only way to get your ego kind of like in check is to get checked in the arena, right? It's like Mike Tyson says, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face, right? Everyone, all these people, like have all these lines and have all this data, like data, blah blah, and then you go out into the field, and they get rejected by one girl, and all of a sudden, black pill, incel, like women suck, and it's the end of society, and the society's gonna fall. Like maybe it is, maybe it is the end of society. Maybe in 10 years, we'll be in the Stone Age again. Who knows? But um why think like that already? Why not enjoy the couple years you have until the end of the world? Right? You're not going to reverse this. So the struggle helps you appreciate the wins that much more. Yeah, and you're going to miss the struggle, right? Look how comfortable I am. Sometimes I miss like having to fight for every single girl in my life. Now, when I say fight, I mean like kind of like really care, that really plan dates and all. Sometimes I miss how much I cared before. Now it's just like, whatever. If she says yes, she says yes. She says no, she says no. But you're gonna miss those days where you struggle, because there's a beauty in being in the arena, right? And it sucks that a lot of guys don't want to be in the arena, right? Because they're hurt, because they're egos. You have to get in there, guys. You have to. Like, you're missing out on one of the best parts of life. So, um, keep trying. It's gonna be okay. RP Matthews with the 4.99 super chat. Here you go, sir. You get one of these.
Thank you so much, best friend.
All right. RP Matthews says, thorough insight as usual, Nuke. Thumbs up. Thanks, man. I appreciate your support. Yeah, I care about the stuff. I really went through it, guys, for this stuff to learn I learned my lessons the hard way. I had a lot of ego to deal with, a lot of lessons in all stages of my life. My ego was the one killing it. So, you can have an ego about things, right? But you got to realize like you're not that important, Just like you're not that important, and that's a beauty. There's a beauty in that. A lot of people are terrified of that. They won't do anything to make themselves important, but they don't want to find out that they're not, and that's okay. I don't have to be important. I just want to do the things I want to do on my terms, be my own mental point of origin, and move forward and live life. But yeah, don't get mad. Apparently, so guys, I don't know if you guys saw like it. I apparently was on Dake Sykes' little survey, for like who's the most attractive red pill content creator, and I feel kind of, speaking of ego, I feel kind of like I don't belong there, but I guess I am. Andrew Tate was on there, Sneeko. I think Coach Greg Adams was on there. Rolo was on there. Ryan was on there. Who else? Man, I forgot. But yeah, I was on. I made the list, guys. I feel like I just got on a Sports Illustrated for red pill. So apparently, there's people out there rating my attractiveness on my videos. So that's very interesting. I don't know what to say about that. But that's just people being weird and missing the point. How does that help anyone? Right? It was the most catty thing I've ever seen. And go ahead and go to I forgot the name of the podcast, but my friend Kyle, who I did a show with the other day, he's interviewing them right now. So if you guys want to go see that, hey, I won't be offended. I'm probably gonna go pop in that chat and mess with them too, because that's what do you want me to do, man? You made a survey, a whole ass survey. You found a video, and it wasn't like a video that I made recently. Like you dug through my stuff, and you found a video of me. It was about like, do girls like gifts, right? And I just see, I'm like, why did I make, like, someone told me, hey, you're on the list, right? I'm like, what? And then I saw, I'm just like, the questions were so weird. Like, are you familiar with this guy's content? What would you rate their attractiveness on a scale of 1 through 7? I'm just like, this is the creepiest thing someone's ever done for me. Like, to me, this is like, I'm afraid. I guess, like, why would you do that? Like, that's the craziest thing. And I think Rolo's winning or what. I don't know how, if there's results out or all that stuff, but like, wow. I was kind of shocked at that. But guys, it's all bread and circuses. People need, realize that. Great, cool, bread and circuses. Anyway, let's talk about how we can get you guys laid and happy and married and all that stuff. But yeah, it's very weird. Oh, we got another super chat. Spencer says, wait, you get one of these, sir. One of my thank you. Here you go.
Thank you so much. Best friend.
Spencer says, for the $4.99 super chat, going to bachata Saturday night with a chick, but the only issue is I can't dance. Never done bachata. How do you suggest I not embarrass myself? So first of all, who cares? I would never suggest dance night as a first date if you're not a dancer, or at least familiar. But that's okay. Let's say, okay, you already made a decision. If she knows how to dance, you simply, hey, I'm your student tonight. You got to teach me, right? If she sees that you're improving and that you're having a good time and you're not taking it personal, then that's all you need, man. She'll be more than happy. I dance with girls that are better dancers than me, and I just tell them, hey, can you help me? Can you help me practice? And they're like more than happy to, right? Roosh V, you guys remember Roosh V? You know what his pickup line was for the gym? It was, go up to, when you're like next to a girl and you want to hit on a girl, simply ask her, hey, is my form good? How do I use this machine? Stuff like, ask her questions. The walls drop instantly. Hell, I told the story, I think yesterday or on Tuesday, about how I used that opener on a girl at the gym and she turned out to be a porn star, guys, like a mainstream one. And I simply said, hey, is this my, what level should my elbows be? And her guard dropped and she was teaching me. And then I got a little flirty and all that stuff. And I didn't ask for a number. Sorry, guys. That was like 2021. That was a long time ago. That was in my whole phase. But that's you getting over your ego at work. Instead of coming up to a girl and be like, I have to be dominant in everything and all that. You kind of like concede to her that, hey, you are better than me at bachata, or you are a better lifter than me. It may or may not be true. And you just simply say, hey, can you teach me, or am I doing this right? And they'll be more than happy, right? It's okay. It's not a big deal. It's not a big hit on your ego. So next time though, for a first date, drinks, coffee, something simple. Bachata's a little, I don't know what your full situation is, but yeah. Thanks for the question. Great question. Um, Spencer, you have to do this whole talk was about not getting into the agenda, the arena. Yeah, dude, you're in the arena now. Like, if the date doesn't go anywhere, she's grossed out that you don't know bachata. Great, now you know that you have to learn bachata if you like girls that dance. Take it in, bro. Welcome to failure. I fail just like you, so it's not a big deal. But yeah, thanks for the questions, guys. Great. Is there anything else before I go? Any other questions or comments or anything before I go? Hmm. This whole time, I've been staring at this bottle of apple cider. Um, so thirsty, but I was ranting so much. Guys, it's been a year since, or 10 years since I started lifting as well. I started lifting in uh, January of 2014. Started lifting weights. So I guess I'll do, maybe my next show will be on fitness and the lessons learned from that. But yeah, interesting 10 years lift. I'm not even that big. I'm like okay. Like I look big and close sometimes. But yeah. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching me. I appreciate it. I got a little passionate. I'm very this speech is very close to my heart because it really is the epitome of what I bring to you guys in terms of content. Right? Everyone has their own little theories. Everyone has their own little stats and stuff, which is important. But the most important person is the man in the arena, the guy who goes out there, gets beat the hell up by the dating market, comes back and says, "Hey, the guys, this is what I learned." You know, that's the most valuable data you'll ever get is someone who's gone out there. Doesn't matter the field. Could be work. It could be any other field. Um, they're the ones that gotta know what it is, what reality is, boots on the ground. And you gotta listen to them. But most importantly, guys, you have to listen to yourself. And with that, I leave you.
Flying